Welcome to the AI Lab, where today we're going to blend several AI tools to learn to make animations just like this one. It's easy if you know how. So let's find out how.
Hey, welcome back to the channel where we explore the creative uses of AI, and we got a fun one for you today. We're going to learn so much cool stuff. You're going to learn how to make the animations like you saw at the beginning of this video. You're going to learn how to add lip sync to those animations in your voice or anyone else's voice you'd like. You'll also learn how to swap anybody's face you want to on top of those animations, and you'll learn how to translate your animations and videos into numerous languages around the world. Let's get started. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been posting animations like the ones I've been showing you here in that particular style and getting a fair amount of questions about this. So I thought I'd walk through the workflow and talk about everything I'm doing to make videos like this. You may or may not be able to do this on your own computer depending on your specs, and there are some subscription fees for some of the things I'm using, namely Elevenlabs for voice cloning, which is optional. Of course, you can do this without having to do voice cloning, but I thought I would just show you how I'm doing these particular types of projects, which is really my favorite part of AI, being able to create characters that don't exist and be the actor to drive them all, whether they're male or female or human or not, and whatever their voice is and wherever they could be. This is my favorite part of AI, is doing stuff like this, so I'm excited to show you how it all works. Now, to do all of this, these are the tools that I'm using. You'll need a ComfyUI installation and the workflow that I'm using to do this. Now, this workflow, by the way, is not my own. It's from Nerdy Rodent, who is another AI YouTuber, and if you follow AI on YouTube, you probably are familiar with Nerdy Rodent, and some of his stuff can be a little intimidating at first, but this particular workflow is so easy to understand that even I could do it just by downloading it and throwing it into ComfyUI and playing with it a little. But now I've played with it a lot, and hopefully I can share with you some of the benefit of my experience, which is basically don't overcomplicate things. It's really, really cool just how it is. Now, to get animation like this with this level of consistency, which admittedly is not perfect, usually takes all kinds of work and a lot of hours of trying and trial and error to get anything that's halfway decent. This particular process is so freaking easy, and the results can be not necessarily 100% consistent, but generally pretty interesting to look at. So depending on the style you're going for, this could be exactly what you need to get going quickly producing some AI animation projects with voices and characterizations and tell a real story without getting bogged down on the more complex workflows that maybe produce a more consistent result, but is it necessary for what you're doing? Only you would know that. So let's look at how this is working. In addition to ComfyUI and the workflow, you will need something to generate images with. We're using source images to dictate the style of our animation, and we need to create those images in something. And sometimes you'll be going back and forth between the workflow and then trying new images. And while you could use ComfyUI to generate images, I like having something else that's independent of ComfyUI, so I'm not changing models back and forth between the animate diff models and then the model I need to create the image in the style that I want. I use Chrome AI, which is one of my favorite services online to create AI images and video. And because of their vast number of styles, I can really quickly create exactly what I want, bring it in here, and try new looks and styles very quickly. And then optionally, you'll need something to clone or convert a voice, which is important for me if I'm going to do a female character or any number of male characters that don't happen to sound like me. So in my case, of course, I use Elevenlabs because I love their speech-to-speech feature, which allows me to first record the audio, the narration, or the voiceover in exactly the style and inflection I want, and then convert it to that voice, rather than using text-to-speech and just sort of relying on whatever they come up with, which can be great sometimes, but not exactly what you want all the time. You'll also need to install FaceFusion 2.3, which, as we record this, is the latest version, as they've just added the lip sync capability. It uses a technology called Wave to Lip, which has been out in the open source community for quite some time, and now it's integrated with the face swap, and when we get there, it'll blow your mind how cool it is, and really makes this strategy way more practical. Then, of course, you're going to need the source video to feed into this whole thing that you're going to convert. And this is where you can get a little creative. You can certainly use the environment that you have around your house, or if you have the ability to chroma key yourself or put yourself on a background like I'm doing here, then you can create a landscape for your character that's appropriate and that the AI can play with. And that's what we're going to do today. Let's start by going through the ComfyUI workflow. I don't use all parts of this workflow, and I don't understand all parts of this workflow. I will only show and explain the parts that I do know. I may have added a couple of little things to this workflow, but I'm going to have you download the original workflow from Nerdy Rodent's website himself, since he put it together, and I want it to be pure so that you know it will work, and then as you learn more about it, you can tweak things the way that I have. The tweaks that I'm showing you are not going to affect the outcome. They're just for me. So here we load the video that we want to convert. Now, if you know you're going for a particular look, you can use costuming and things to help make this a lot easier on yourself rather than trying to prompt in a bunch of things that you don't need to prompt in, like a background laboratory, for example. So in this case, I put on a wig, I put on some glasses, and I put on a basic white shirt because I knew that AI would probably interpret it as a lab coat if I say it's a mad scientist in the prompt. And even though this isn't the best green screen, it'll be fine for AI, so I put myself in that source video on top of a background which I created in Chrome AI, which actually this background is from the source image that is creating the style of this whole project. So if we zoom out on the whole workflow, we see the source video, we see the image that is dictating the style, the overall style of the image, in conjunction with whatever we type here in the prompt, which is where I'm adding things like glowing colors and blinking lights, which I could have added to the source video if I wanted to, but that seems like too much work. And then of course, here's where the video will be output. Next to the video here is where you choose the model that's going to drive the style of this whole animation. If you have a model that has a look you like the Rev animated model or something else, you can use that here. Just play with other models. They will of course play a large role in how the final animation turns out. So you've got three things at play. You've got the model itself, you've got the prompt, and the reference image that you start the whole thing with. Up at the top, we've got two control nets running to kind of guide the shape of this thing. We've got a line art, which is tracing the overall outline of the animation of the scientist and all the things in the background, and depending on how much you want it to follow all the details, you would increase the strength of this particular control net here. I find a mid to low mid is good, but it really just depends on the style you want. And then over here we have the open pose control net, which of course is going to follow the head and the fingers and the eyes and all of that stuff in the mouth. So you want at least both of those. You could add more control nets if you want to, or you can change these out. The more you familiarize yourself with the different kinds of control net models and the effect they have on the animation, the better, and it'll give you more creative options here. Again, taking another look here at this reference image, this is being run by an IP adapter, and you can use any of the version 1.5 adapters that you want depending on the results you want. In most cases, I'm going to use either the regular SD IP adapter, the IP adapter plus, or the IP adapter plus face, all for the version 1.5. When Nerdy Rodent posted this, he had not tested it with SDXL, and so I haven't either because it's working just fine for my purposes with these 1.5 models. You're going to be using 1.5 models to drive the overall look, and you're going to be using 1.5 models for your IP adapter and for your control nets. Here's where you choose your animate diff parameters. I would leave everything exactly how it is, although you can change, of course, the model. Right here, I'm using the 1.5 version 2 model, but I also have the improved 3D motion, we have the temporal diffusion, we have the version 3, and you can try all of these if you have the patience to try them. I know I get the results I want right here with this model, so I'm going to stick with it for right now. Down at the bottom, we have a bypass node, which is the reactor node for face swapping. The face swap model used here is for non-commercial use only, so unless you really need to use it for whatever purposes, I wouldn't use this. And quite honestly, the tool FaceFusion, which we're using later, does a much better job of this, and it's much quicker than doing it this way. So I would leave this part out, but it's in the workflow if you want it. So we also have a background remover. So let's say you don't want to use any of these backgrounds, you can't chroma key a background in, or your background, whatever with your background. What this background allows you to do is it will take your source video and remove the background from it and then run all of the control net and the IP adapters. So what you would end up with is just the main character on a screen with whatever color you define here in this background replace node. But right now, I'm bypassing all that because I'm not removing the background because we're going to create one exactly like we want. So let's start this process from scratch and just come up with a scenario. And I'm going to go with my very favorite topic of all time, scary clowns. But don't worry, we'll make it a woman. That'll take the edge off of it. The first thing I do is start with a reference image, and there's a couple of ways I can approach that. I can either create the reference image first and then try to see if I can find an outfit that sort of matches the color scheme there, or do the other way around. Look around and go, what clothes have I got that I can wear that I can create a look out of that the AI can interpret into whatever I want it to, and then I'll create an image that comes close to that. In this case, I have an idea of what I want to do, so we're going to create the image and then I'm going to change my clothes to match that image. So let's go over to Chrome AI, which is where I love to create these images, and you will see as we get there. And what I love about Chrome is that there are so many styles that you can create really, really quickly. And look at just the variety of this, just real quick. This is just as an aside. But here you can see where I did this particular technique. I created a reference image, and then I created the background for the video I used so that there would be some consistency. So if you look back in my history, you can see where I've done this before. This was a reference image for an animation. This was another reference image for the same animation. I used the same voice, the same lip sync, the same background. I just changed the reference image here, but then I generated backgrounds for my source video here that were going to match the vibe of the character image. So everything was nice and consistent. Same thing with the wizard animations. I created an image that would drive the overall style and then a setting for that particular wizard. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to create a scary clown in a scary circus environment, and then we're going to go from there. So right now, let's just say a scary female clown wearing a black costume in a creepy big top circus, and I won't even say anything after that. And for the style, I want something that's kind of creepy. Now we've got all of these styles. So as it happens, we've got a style here where the example is a scary clown. So I feel like we have to use it. So I'm going to use that style, and then let's choose a view. I want enough of a view where we can see the character in its environment. So let's go with something like, we're going to start with a wide angle view, and we're just going to make sure also that the aspect ratio is 16:9, and then click generate. It does not have to be 16:9. That's just a choice I make. Okay, that is an awesome image. I'm totally using that, or some variety of it. Let's try a couple of other little things. Okay, this is actually more the vibe I'm going for because I want a stark difference. I wish I had an orange wig. I do not. So I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to change into a black shirt. But first, let's get this image into the ComfyUI interface. So I'm going to download the full download version, so it's a higher resolution. Again, you don't really need to, but I like to have that. And then I'm just going to drag that image down in here so that it becomes now the reference image. I'm also going to change the prompt here to match the prompt that we used to create the image. I've got some part of the prompt that I like that I've just experimented with that I keep in there. So I'm going to paste that original prompt right here, and then I'm going to add in whatever embellishments I think I might like just to add some movement to the thing. So I'm going to add like flashing red lights. Now let's go back to Chrome and create a background for this image for me to do the live video on top of, so that the AI has an actual creepy circus behind me to work with and not just a green screen or my office or whatever. What we can do is we can try a few things. We could just say an empty, creepy circus big top with strings of blinking red lights. I think you see why I'm doing that. And now I'm going to click generate. This is way more like I was wanting anyway. So we'll get this, we'll download the full download. So now as you watch this, I'm going to just drag this picture over into my broadcast software. Okay, so now we got me in the right spot. Now let's get me costumed up correctly. Okay, I've changed my clothes so that the colors will match more what the color of the reference image is going to be. I don't have an orange wig, so I'm just going to use this crazy mad scientist wig. And I'll just show you how neat it does not have to be. That's all I'm going to have to do, although I do want to be able to see the face. Okay. Sorry for the bad green screen, but again, it doesn't matter. And keeping in mind that this is going to be a female clown. Welcome to my circus. I know you'll have a wonderful time. I'd love to tell you that you can tell all your friends and family about it later, but I can't guarantee you're going to be able to do that. Okay, so now we have that video, but it's got a little bit of me talking at the beginning and the end, and I just need a quick way to trim it. And that's when we're going to use another one of my favorite tools in my workflow called Video Prompt Converter AI. We've talked about it in other capacities as an upscaler, but for a quick editor where I don't have to render a whole video file just to trim off some stuff, this is a great tool. All I need to do is choose the Video Converter option, drag the video in here that I created, click on the Cut option. Okay, so I've changed my clothes to match more the style or the color, right? So we don't want that part, so we want to find where I got it right. So I'm going to back up. Welcome to my circus. Great. Okay, so that's the piece I want, so I just click Cut, and then I click on Done, and I click on Run, and then just within a couple of seconds, I've got a finished edited video file with no long rendering time just to trim the time. Now we'll drop this video here in the workflow, make sure the prompt is what we want, and then click Q prompt and wait. Here's our result, and the moment I started watching this render, I realized I'd made a huge mistake in terms of this demo. But every mistake is a learning opportunity, isn't it, boys and girls? So you'll notice that the shape of the clown's mouth is, well, it's a clown's mouth. So it's crazy, it's over-exaggerated. It's not the typical size of a human mouth. And all the face tracking software, particularly software that's going to make your mouth move based on audio, is going to want a shape of a mouth that's somewhat normal. As a result, it can't find this mouth and it won't do the lip sync. So I did bring the video into FaceFusion 2.3 and ran the voice and processed it with audio that I did a voice conversion on, but I got something that looks like this.
Welcome to my circus. I know you'll have a wonderful time. I'd love to tell you that you can tell all your...
So you can see that something's trying to happen, but it's not going to work. So I started all over. This time I went a totally different route. You know, it's really popular to talk about making AI Instagram influencers and things like that to make a gazillion dollars. So let's just go with the Instagram influencer route. So I created this picture as a reference image. And here's the source video that we're going to convert. Oh, hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm talking about purple dining rooms, because who doesn't love a purple dining room? I know I do. And everyone I know does. And here's a quick little test I did of it, and now we're just waiting for it to complete. This way we'll have a mouth that's more close to human that will work with FaceFusion and the Wave to Lip technology. Okay, now we're talking. Now we got a video we can work with. So it's fairly consistent. We've got the people mulling around in the background, and we've got her, and she stays looking the same the entire time. The mouth is got the subtlest of movement, which is perfect for this type of thing. And look, 5 fingers on each hand for the most part. We need an audio file to make the face move. So obviously I don't have a female voice, so let's create one using the original audio from this video and Elevenlabs. So you may have numerous ways to extract the audio from an MP4 file, but if you don't, there's lots of free ways you can do it online. Right here at freeconvert.com, you can just drag the video file right onto the interface, drop it there, choose the output as MP3, and click convert. When it's done, just click download. Now when you navigate to Elevenlabs, we're going to be using the speech-to-speech function because we're taking the audio from that video file and converting it rather than using text-to-speech. So when we get to the speech synthesis area of the site, we're going to choose speech-to-speech, and then we're just going to drag that MP3 file right onto the interface here. So now we just got to choose a voice for our character. So we can choose from their vast library, or we can just choose what we already have. And there are some supplied right out of the gate where you don't have to install all of these. It's a young influencer female, so let's listen to some of these voices.
Either you run the day or the day runs you.
That seems good to me. Why go through a million of them? So we're going to choose Suzanne, and then we're going to click on generate.
Oh, hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm talking about purple dining rooms because who does...
Okay, so now we've got our audio file, so let's download that. Now we have the animation and the audio that's going to drive the lips. So now we get to play in FaceFusion. So I can't make this a full FaceFusion demo. There's just way too much depth to it, but let's just talk about what we're doing here. At its core, FaceFusion is a face swapper. That's what it's been doing, and it's been doing it very well for quite some time. And basically the way it works is you would choose under frame processors, face swapper, and possibly face enhancer if you wanted to do some cleaning up on it, which I do suggest. Then you would just drop a video into the target area, then choose a face you want to swap in, and there you go. Not a great example because I'm wearing glasses and he's not. But you can see we've got the face sharpening going on and the face swap has taken place. But in this case, we're not swapping out the face. We're just putting a voice over an existing video. So first, let's load the video and the audio file into the interface. To add the video, we can just simply drag it right onto the target area here. And then to add the audio, we're going to turn off Face Swapper and instead choose Lip Syncer. And now we'll add our Elevenlabs file here to drive the animation. So now we can scan through and sort of preview frames, and you can see how the mouth is being moved to that particular frame in relation to what is being said on the audio. We've also got the enhancer on, so we're getting some sharpening around the eyes and face in general. So we're going to actually end up with a better looking video at the end of this. So I'm also going to choose the CUDA option here, and I'm going to move the execution thread count up to about 24 and then the system memory to around 15, and that is totally arbitrary, and I have not figured out yet how to completely maximize and optimize this, but I have seen that if I do make those adjustments, it does go a little faster. To be able to use the CUDA option, you're going to have an NVIDIA card that supports that. Otherwise, you can use the CPU option, and if you know how to get TensorRT set up, good for you. Use that. It's even faster. So now I'm going to click Start. So during this processing time, it's putting movement to the lips, that's based on the audio file that we sent in there, and it's sharpening the image around the face. So this is a 13-second video. Right now we're at about 45 seconds or so. I would estimate that this would take around a minute to a minute and a half. But here we go, finished early, and let's check it out. We'll go full screen and look.
Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm talking about purple dining rooms because who doesn't love a purple dining room? I know I do, and everyone I know does.
Okay, so that worked out pretty good. Now this part is totally optional, but sometimes I like to run this through various upscalers or sharpeners to get some of those details, especially around the lips. And one of my favorites is Remini. In general, this is the best face sharpener, bring back detail for video and photos out there, although with videos, sometimes it overdoes it a little bit, especially with the mouth, and they end up looking a little weird. So I figured I'd just try it here and see what we get. By the way, Remini is a paid service and it's not exactly cheap, but I use it in my workflow all the time because of the miracles that it works on photographs that have lost detail or were blurry or taken in the dark or pixelated, out of focus. It's amazing.
Oh, hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm talking about purple dining rooms.
In this case, Remini did a fantastic job at bringing detail to the mouth.
Oh, hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm talking about purple dining rooms because who doesn't love a purple dining room? I know I do, and everyone I know does.
Also remember, of course, that FaceFusion is a face swapper, so if we wanted to put a different face on this animation, we could, although it would be best practice to do that before you add the lip sync. But to do that, you would turn off the lip syncer and turn back on the face swapper, clear this out for the source, and then drop in the face file you want. And you can preview it over here and see that the face swap has happened, and then render it here. So here's why you should do the face swap before you do the lip sync, because when you do the face swap, sometimes you lose some of the details of the lip sync. So we'll just go ahead and do the lip sync right over on top of this particular one. So to do that, we'll save this out and then clear out the target and load back in what we just saved. Now we'll go back up here, we'll turn off face swapper, we'll turn on lip syncer again, load that audio file again, do a little preview. You can see the face is sharpening up again nicely too because we've got the enhancer on, and click start.
Oh, hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm talking about purple dining rooms because who doesn't love a purple dining room?
Now, if you really want to take it next level, which you do, and if you're a content creator with a lot of content out there that would serve you to repurpose in other languages, check this out. Let's take a transcript of this video, translate it to another language, then run that translation through Elevenlabs with this voice and then add that voice to this video. So in my case, I used otter.ai to get a quick transcript of the video. You can use any transcription service you want. Then I'm going to go over to Google Translate and paste that sentence in here and put the correct punctuation. Oh, hello, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm talking about purple dining rooms because who doesn't love a purple dining room? Question mark. So Elevenlabs has built-in support for these languages here. So let's just choose one of these, like let's say Greek. So we're going to go back over to Google Translate and we're going to choose Greek as our language. We're going to copy that text that's translated. We're going to go back to Elevenlabs and we're going to paste it here in the text box. We're going to keep it at the voice that we had before and click generate.
Γεια σας και καλώς ήρθατε στο κανάλι μου. Σήμερα μιλάω για μοβ τραπεζαρίες γιατί σε ποιον δεν αρέσει η μοβ τραπεζαρία.
Awesome. Just going to have to take their word for it that that's correct. I'm going to download that file, then move back over to FaceFusion, deselect Face Swapper if it's chosen, choose Lip Syncer instead, and drag that file that we just downloaded from Elevenlabs into the source box. We'll have a quick preview over here just to make sure the mouth is moving, and then we'll click start. And now let's check out the translated video.
Και καλώς ήρθατε στο κανάλι μου. Σήμερα μιλάω για μοβ τραπεζαρίες γιατί σε ποιον δεν αρέσει η μοβ τραπεζαρία. Ξέρω ότι το κάνω. Και όλοι όσοι ξέρω το κάνουνε.
So if you have a lot of content out there in one language and you have not been able to reach an international audience, now you can. And not with just some weird overdubbed voice, but your voice with your lips moving correctly. So that's it in a nutshell. There's a lot of settings you can play with in ComfyUI. And of course, playing with the reference image is where all the creativity happens. So if you've got something like Chrome or some other image generator that you can play with a variety of styles very quickly, this is one of the simplest ways I know to get an animation that is close to consistent, still interesting to look at, and gives you options like this to create real stories and films out of it if you want to. This is a super powerful tool. So I hope you spend some time with it and get some enjoyment out of it. And please let me know if you do, and if you create something with it, I'd love to see it.
If you subscribe now, I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you do not, I will look for you. I will find you. And I